All right, Dolphin fans. Good morning, or not so good morning, however you choose to however you choose. Good morning. So, I haven't done a video on this channel from this room, not like this. I don't think. I think I did some picks videos and everything, but um last night obviously we had the game and then the recap and Kyle finished off the recap for me. And I just didn't have a whole lot left in me to say much of anything. And I figured, I watched some of the other guys this morning. I watched TD, I watched Dudley, heard their takes, and um, if you don't know, if you're new to the channel, I'm the Florida Panthers guy. Like they are the Dolphins guys. When you think about Dolphins created Dudley, TD, Barry, those are the main guys that I know of anyway. I'm the Florida Panthers guy, so that's why you see all the Florida Panthers stuff behind me. I'm in my 8th season of covering that team. I've been a Dolphin fan my entire life. 52, grew up, raised in Miami, used to walk to Joe Robbie Stadium. That whole history. So the point is that this is the first year of this channel where I've been doing the Dolphin games for content for as its own channel. I made some Dolphin videos. I know about 40 or 50 videos on the hockey channel. And then I decided let's just separate it out and have a full dedicated channel. So I wanted to thank everybody, first of all, for all the support this year. We almost got to the goal, just kind of like the Dolphins. My goal was high. There's no doubt. Dolphins wanted to win the Super Bowl. I was kind of hoping to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I think I'm at 913. So we just almost. But either way, thank you all for the support. Thank you all for coming out. And they're still going to have multiple daily. That's my shtick, because I can't talk. There will still be at least one video per day on this channel. Hopefully more. I'm going to cover it the same way I would cover the Panthers. So there will be the free agency and everything that goes into that, and starting up with camp and everything. So everything that you would expect from a channel that's covering the Dolphins and the NFL to that extent that you can expect here. We're still streaming every playoff game, the Super Bowl, etc. So, all right. In terms of this team, in terms of what we've seen, now I have been an admitted. Well, you know what? I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story, because everybody, I don't. There's going to be so much fighting this offseason, and we know what the subject is. It's going to be Tua for the main part, and I'm going to get into McDaniel and some of the other things too as well. But I'm old enough to remember going to the games in the Orange Bowl before Marino. And I used to go with my father. A lot of times, my uncle Robert, who's passed away a few years ago, he would take me to the games because his company had season tickets, and there was no bigger fan than my uncle Robert. Okay, lived and died by the team, but he had something that you only see in maybe half, 2/3 of the fan base now, which is a realistic outlook. I remember sitting in the Orange Bowl seats, and for me, especially when we had Marino, or right around that transitionary time where it was like Greasy, Woodley, Strock, and then Marino, went to a lot of those games. And I just remember thinking, well, we're the Dolphins, right? We've won Super Bowls, we've been undefeated, we're in the playoffs every year, we're quote great, right? That was the kid, the fan in me. And I remember sitting in the stands with my Uncle Robert, and before the game, he would point out, you know, and there was no all 22 film for people to watch. There was no creators. There was no internet. There was go to the games, watch it on TV, see the highlights, and talk about it on talk radio. That was it. That was it. And we would sit before the game. We'd get there early because he wanted to get beer, and we'd sit there, and he'd tell me, "Watch number 68, our right guard. He sucks. He's going to get beat for stacks." And he would, watch this defensive back. What he would tell me which players were going to fail and exactly how they were going to fail. And sure enough, throughout the game, he'd be like, see, there it is. See. So a lot of the way that I learned to analyze the games was from that perspective of you can love your team, but you have to be honest about your team. You have to be willing to be honest with yourself. Otherwise, you just end up with false hope after false hope after false hope, and it can deteriorate your love for the team. And that's something I heard TD talking about on his stream from last night was the taking something from me. Last night took something from me. And it's funny because on the stream last night, about mid-third quarter, when I think whenever it was like 19-7, and we had the ball and then we blew it again and we gave them the ball back. My son and I streamed the games and I just kind of got quiet because I've seen this movie a lot of times. And my son's 24 and he's like, "Hey, Dad, come on, man. You gotta stay positive. You've lost your energy again." And I just kind of looked at him like, "That's cool. I've been doing this for 50 years." But by the end of the game, if you watch the recap, there was my son. Normally I do the recaps, right? I'm closing up a pop-up. It's a brand new laptop, and Microsoft is just popping things up on me all the time. So by the end of the game, he did the end of the recap, which he's never done in all the years of hockey, all the years of all the videos. He's never done the post game. But as I was setting up the camera to record the post game, he was doing a better rant than I could. And I said, stop, get in front of the camera, click, go. And I said, go, just say what you're saying. And he's ready to take McDaniel and Tua, and you got to watch it. If you haven't seen it, it's the post game and last night's recap. I don't want to give it away, but it was the perfect summation. I'm going to put together a clip of what he was telling me during the stream, and then a few moments later, and then there's Kyle ranting in the recap. So he's 24, and he is joining those of us who have been doing this for he's soon. It'll be decades for him. Won't be long before he can say for 20 years he's been watching this team do this. So there's that into it. Now, the reason I bring it up, excuse me, in terms of you have to be honest about your team, is it is starting to wane a little bit. But last year and especially this year, if you go to Twitter, I don't know Facebook, I don't know Instagram, any of those, but I know Twitter. If you go to Twitter and say something disparaging about Tua, even just honest, analytical criticism, you're going to get killed. You get absolutely murdered. And I just wonder, who the hell are you people? That's a genuine question. What are you watching, and what do you stand to gain by sticking up and standing up and still continuing to believe in Tua, regardless of the evidence, the overwhelming evidence that those of us who have been critical of him said, just like my uncle, right? Watch, he's going to do this, he's going to do this, he's going to do this. How many times do you need to see him do the same things and be the same quarterback before you realize that the hardest thing for anybody to say is, well, maybe I was wrong. And my Tua experience has been the first 2 years, I was not a fan. I was not a fan of him at all. And then when all the Flores stuff came out and how he was treated and all of that, I said, okay, you know what? This guy McDaniel, he seems legit. He thinks he can get to a certain level. Okay, all right, I'll buy it. And then, of course, we had all the injuries with last season. And so you say, okay, this is his fourth year. Let's see where the progress is. And against bad teams who do not play the proper defense against this team, it's lights out because you got Hill and Waddle. And our third and fourth wide receivers with Berrios and Wilson and Craig. We've got Mostert, Chan. Wilson, right? We've got so many guys. And if teams don't play the proper defense against us, to a one read, boom, somebody's open. Okay. But as soon as that's taken away, and what I will bring your attention to is, now I don't know a whole lot. I've watched Stroud a little bit, but in terms of the rest of the teams that are likely going to be in the Final Four in the AFC, and you can include Stroud here, but Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. And Stroud too. What's the characteristic that all four of those guys share that they're consistently there at the end of the season in the AFC that Tua doesn't have, and that you cannot fix this problem without perfection everywhere else. And that situation is if the first read isn't there, those guys can make a play. They can shuffle in the pocket. They can roll out. They can make a play with their legs if they have to. Obviously, Mahomes yesterday, 30-yard scramble on 4th and 4. Those things matter, and they matter more than people want to realize. People want to compare Tua to some, they want to say, other quarterbacks who have kind of been game manager-ish have won Super Bowls. But in today's AFC, I won't even include the NFC. In today's AFC, the way the teams are constructed, excuse me, game managers, it's not going to cut it. We're never going to get out of the AFC. We're never going to get out of the AFC without a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud, because just the way that the teams play, you've got such tremendous defenses and tremendous pass rushes in the AFC, right? That you need a quarterback that if that first read is not there, he can scan the field, he can move around, he can buy himself an extra couple of seconds and then make the throws. And let's face it, Tua may be able to do that one time out of 5. That might even be a bit much. That might be giving him a little bit more credit than he deserves. But for the most part, as soon as that first read is not there, you can feel his anxiety through the TV set. Okay, you can tell he don't know what to do. Should I run? Should I not? Should I look for it? He eats the ball, and it is a consistent, persistent problem that is not probably fixable. You can't turn an immobile quarterback into a mobile quarterback. You cannot take a guy who doesn't have that. There's a natural it, okay, that these guys have. And yes, you live and die by the sword, right? Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, those guys, Josh Allen, they're going to run around and they're going to make mistakes when they make things happen. However, over the course of a game, drive over drive over drive over drive, when things don't go right and they don't go well because the offensive line didn't block exactly, or a guy didn't run the perfect route, or nobody's really open immediately, those guys can make plays. They can extend the play with their legs. Tua cannot do that. And I don't think that's something that he's going to ever develop. You can't turn, you can't really make that transition from an immobile quarterback without that sixth sense, so to speak, into a guy that is like a Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, etc. So there's that. And then you got McDaniel. Now, I'm very, very torn with the McDaniel situation because we all threw Flores under the bus, but he might have been right about Tua. Okay, so let's just start there. Flores had his flaws. I'm not saying I would have wanted him back, but there were some things that he got heat for that he might have been right about. Okay, so let's just start there. Now, McDaniel, couple of things here. I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty and then we'll expand it out. Yesterday, he gives a interview during the halftime intermission. And he's talking about we need to have more time of possession. We need to run the ball. We need to extend drives. And then he comes out and we get the ball first, start third quarter, and it's pass, 3 and out. Now, you can't, I don't know. I don't know what you do with that because it's like the opposite of Jimmy Johnson all over again. All right. I realize that, Marino was in decline, but I mean, what Jimmy would do would be what Jimmy would do would get 2 yards running the ball on first down, 2 yards running the ball on second down, and on 3rd and 6, run the ball again. Okay. I mean, this is kind of the opposite where you're just like, it's almost as though kind of like with Jimmy, Mike kind of has it's starting to feel as though Mike has the attitude of, this is how we're going to win, or we're not going to win. He's not going to make adjustments. He's not. He has adjusted the offense to Tua, which might be part of the reason why I'm willing to give him a little bit of a pass. I'm closer to moving on from Tua than I am from McDaniel. McDaniel's play calling is maddening. It absolutely is maddening. Okay, second and 2 bubble screens, third and inches bubble screens. That stuff is, but we don't know. We don't know if it's because of Tua's limitations, because McDaniel's a horrible play caller, or some combination of both. And to me, the rest of the way that the roster is constructed, and we're going to talk a lot about that over the course of this season. I don't want this video to be too long. But for me, if I like to, when I'm doing the Panther videos, I like to pretend if I was Bill Zito, this is what I would do. If I'm Chris Grier, I'm picking up to his 5th-year option and saying, no, I'm not signing you to a long-term contract just yet. And I am bringing in I'm doing 2 things. I'm drafting a guy. If you don't believe that Skylar Thompson can eventually develop into the answer, then you need to draft a guy. Okay, you need to draft a guy in the first 3 rounds, maybe 4 rounds at most. You need to draft a guy. But secondly, you go out and you don't get Mike White. You get a viable backup quarterback that, should something happen to Tua, or should Tua falter again, if other defenses continue to figure out that is, you can shut this offense down easily. We're going to need to have a veteran guy in there that might be able to just push Tua just a little bit. All right. I know you can't go get Fitzmagic again, but that was kind of a good situation where, when Tua was not doing well, you had somebody who could legitimately win some games for us. Because the rest of the roster, the defense, I'm not going to get into defense right now because half the defense was out. And it's like half of a Pro Bowl team practically, and was still holding the Chiefs to 4 field goals when we had a chance to win the game. I'm not even going to touch on the defense right now. Half of those guys were literally plucked off the street. I'm seeing numbers and names. I'm like, who? What? Oh, that's right. I mean, it's just the fact that we only held them to 26 points as many times as they had the ball yesterday. I love Vic Fangio. We're going to be okay on defense. If we're healthy, we have a championship caliber defense. We do need, we have some weak spots, but with a competent offense, we've got a defense that we can win a Super Bowl with. The issues are not there. The issue is 100% on offense. And we've got the wide receivers. We've got the running backs. What we lack is quarterback, okay? And the offensive line still needs work. And I know the offensive line has had a lot more success this year, but how much of that is because McDaniel is drawing up plays where they only have to hold their blocks for like a second and a half? Because you're seeing what happens. That's part of the issue, right? It's not all on Tua. There's, if he has to get to that second read, a lot of times he has to start moving around the pocket to get to that second read. So you combine the fact that the offensive line's not great, they're not going to hold their blocks that long. Combine that with the fact that Tua is not mobile enough, and his pocket presence is I wouldn't call it ass. I say it was inconsistent. It's inconsistent. We've all seen him hesitate that 10th of a second too long, where you could see if he would have shuffled this way. Like if you watch highlights of Marino, and I'm not going to compare it to Marino, but if you watch highlights of Marino had a reputation for not being mobile. But if you watch him, especially before the Achilles injury, he knew exactly where to step up into the pocket to buy himself an extra second or two. And he was a master at that. The protection would start breaking down around him, and he knew exactly what 2 steps to take and when to take it. He didn't hesitate. He boom, boom, and then he'd throw the ball, right? With Tua, every time it's a hesitation. And in the past, he would take a lot, he would try to make something happen, to throw a crazy interception or fumble the ball or take a hit and get hurt, right? Now he is just eating the ball, which is technically still better, but we ain't winning a Super Bowl with this quarterback in this manner because we're not going to get out of the AFC. Okay, for the foreseeable future. All right, and don't discount the Patriots might be better with new coaching. Their defense is still tough. Don't discount the fact that the Jets, with a competent offense, still have damn near close to a championship caliber defense. But to get out of this conference for the foreseeable future, it's Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City, and kind of now Houston. All right. Cleveland's got a great defense. The Jets got a great defense. This is not, you have to have elite or damn near elite quarterback play to get out of this conference, unless you're just going to roll the dice that you're going to get, a miracle upset 2 or 3 times in the playoffs. And it's really going to be 3 because you only get the bye if you get that 1 seed, and playing in the AFC East ain't going to be easy to get the 1 seed because y'all beating the crap out of each other. So Dolphin fans, the final thing I'll say here is all of us, every single one of us have to admit when we were wrong. I was a huge Ryan Tannehill fan. I was never a huge Henne fan. I wanted Henne to be the thing, right? You thought maybe what if, and then no. Tannehill was the real tease because he could make plays with his legs and he could extend plays. And then he could throw interceptions that just, and the defense never got great. The wide receiver talent wasn't, anything close to what we have now, right? But that's what we're going to need moving forward. We're going to, I don't know how we're going to do it. I think I will go to bed every night and just say a little prayer that please don't give Tua a contract. Just please pick him up on the 5th-year option, make him go out there and show that he can fix that part of his game. I will give Tua credit. The things that he has needed to work on every offseason, he has improved upon. I don't know if you can improve upon that because that's a kind of an immeasurable intangible. You either are Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre and Lamar Jackson, or you're not. I can't think of any quarterback, and I'm searching the memory banks. I can't think of any quarterback that has developed. I mean, Tannehill is a somewhat decent example because he came in, he had been a wide receiver, right? He did continue to develop and improve over the years, including when he got to the AFC Championship game, with Tennessee before his body just fell apart on him because he took a lot of abuse because he would make plays with his legs. But that's the only guy in recent memory that I can think of. And he was always able to make plays with his legs. That's not even the same thing. He did continue to improve, but he still would throw the stupid interceptions. So I don't know. I don't know if I've thought, if I can think of a quarterback that went from, not really being able to make those plays to being able to make them. We have to move on. Now, we're not going to move on next year. We're going to have to go through a whole nother year of this next year. And I would love to be sitting here next January 14th and saying, I was wrong. Tua's the guy, and we're the number 1 seed, and we didn't even have to play this week. Okay? I'll take that all the way to the bank. I will play this clip next year if we're the 1 seed. Okay? I'll be fine with that. But the reality is that they shouldn't be any more fighting about this. There shouldn't be any more fighting about this. If you're still fighting, okay, if you're still telling people that don't like to it, that they don't know football, that they don't know the game, you're the problem at this point. At this point, it's your pride and your inability to even consider the possibility that you might be wrong. If you want to say give them another year before you're willing to admit it, right? Okay. All right, fine. I can understand that you want to give him another year. We're going to have him for another year anyway, unless something crazy happens and we trade him. But if you're not open to the possibility that Tua's not the guy at this point, that's a you problem and not a us problem. So I think that's the last thing I'll have to say. Dolphin fans, I'll still be here. I think Trey and I will have the review tomorrow. Trey and I will have the review tomorrow. I wasn't ready to. I didn't know I was going to be ready to do this video this morning either because we've had so much action the last couple of days. But I'll still be here every day. I'm still going to have the normal content with the press conferences and stuff like that. I think I'm going to use this format a little bit more over the summer because there's it's not so much with the game analysis as it'll be more player personnel analysis and players maybe we should go after, players there's a lot to go through with the salary cap and all of that, which that's a whole nother ball of wax. But for now, we're still streaming every playoff game. And I guess we're Steelers fans now tomorrow, right? There's no Joe Flacco to root for. I ain't rooting for Buffalo. I ain't rooting for Kansas City. I ain't rooting for Baltimore. So I guess at least until mid-third quarter tomorrow when the Bills kill the Steelers, I guess we're Steelers fans. After that, as Dolphin fans, I don't know. Who's in the NFC? Tampa, Dallas, Green Bay. I'm a Tom Grossi fan. So, I mean, for as long as Green Bay's around, right? Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Super Bowl. Wouldn't that be something? So, all right, everybody. Appreciate all the support. And, hey, look, I ain't going to say maybe we'll get him next year. I'm not going to say that. We've been saying that for a long time. What I'll say is maybe at some point we'll get that quarterback position right. We are paying a price for having Marino all those years, and we still couldn't even win the Super Bowl with him. So enjoy your off season, and I'll see you tomorrow.